On today's episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides, I'll give you guys an update on the $59 million FEMA sent for illegal immigrants for hotels in New York City. I'll talk about Tom Homan and talking about the leaks that ICE is currently dealing with in the nation. I'll show you guys a video of Motley Crue singer Vince Neil's plane veering off a runway, and I'll give you guys another update on the JFK, RFK, and MLK files, all coming up now on episode 21 of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides, starting now.
The moment is here. This is our moment.
America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. This is episode 21. I talked to you guys about my topics already today. It's not going to be a crazy long episode today, not too much going on around. But I do want to talk to you guys about what we do have going on. So I want to talk about FEMA and them sending $59 million for five-star hotels in New York City and now the repercussions of that. So yesterday I reported on this for you guys. I talked to you guys about how FEMA, after Donald Trump ordered them not to, sent $59 million for illegal immigrants to stay in five-star hotels in New York City. I expressed how upset I was about this and why I think it's wrong, and the administration did something about it. So the CFO and four other federal employees who work for FEMA have now been terminated completely, and the administration is possibly pursuing pressing charges against them for violating their duties in their positions. So these employees were found to have circumvented leadership protocols when they made the payment. It was definitely a misuse of taxpayer funds and just a misuse of funds in general. The Department of Homeland Security approved the terminations as well, showing that they're in line with Donald Trump's vision for what this country should be doing. I really don't think that FEMA should have been giving $59 million to illegal immigrants to stay in five-star hotels. Two parts of that really upset me, and I talked about this yesterday, so I'm really not going to dive too far into it now. But just quickly, the fact that it's $59 million, even $1 million would have been too much. $59 million is way too much taxpayer money to be spent on this, and the fact that they put illegals in five-star hotels in New York City is disgraceful to me. So those are the two biggest problems I have with it. I'm so glad that the FEMA employees were terminated, that Donald Trump's administration is doing everything they can to get to the bottom of these issues that are happening with people working against him. And to get into our next topic, it goes right along with it. I'm going to show you guys a video real quick, and we'll pick it apart a little. But this is a video of Tom Homan, and he's talking about all the leaks that ICE is currently dealing with that are making their job a lot harder and less safe.
Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside, and we know the first leak of Aurora is under current investigation. We think we identified that person under investigation right now. The California leak, Secretary Noem, she's correct. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation, and they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute. So we're all over it. We got the DHS IG investigating the first one. Have a pretty good idea what happened. Can't share a lot because it's under investigation, but the IG's opened up a criminal investigation on the second one. We're sending a strong message. It's just not, giving the bad guys a heads up so they can escape apprehension. Right? We're arresting, giving, the Venezuela gang a heads up so we can't arrest them. You're putting officers' lives at risk. It's only a matter of time if we walk into a place where there's going to be a bad guy doesn't care. He's going to be sitting and wait for the officers to show up and ambush them. This is not a game. So DHS and DOJ are connected at hip to hold these people responsible in a criminal fashion.
I love Tom Homan. I love everything he stands for. I love just the vibe he puts out there of, we're not going to tolerate any BS. We're not going to allow you to continuously try and work against our administration, work against President-elect Donald Trump. We're not going to allow you to continuously work against the laws and putting our officers at risk in the process. So what he describes here is leaks going on pertaining to ICE raids, about how people are leaking to migrant groups, to illegals, to various organizations when the raids are happening so they can get illegals out of the area, whatever it is, to try and protect these illegals. I don't think this is right. If you're illegally in this country, you should be deported. I think Donald Trump is 100% right on that. And he brings up a great point about how it does put the officers' lives at risk. One day, someone's going to tip these people off, and instead of running, they're going to stock up. They're going to have 10, 15 people, military-aged men in there who should be deported, who are then going to take on the officers. And it will be an American tragedy that could have been prevented. And I pray that never happens. It would be a terrible, terrible thing. But that's what Democrats are trying to push for when they're leaking ICE raids to these people. That's what they're potentially allowing to happen. They're basically saying, hey, all these officers are going to be here at this time. Whether you want to run or whether you want to fight them, your choice. I think it's disgusting and despicable that they're getting away with, or they're not getting away with it. They're currently catching them and pressing charges, but I think it's disgusting and despicable that they're even doing this in the first place, that they're challenging President Donald Trump on his orders when it comes to illegal immigration. His orders on illegal immigration are no worse than any other Democrat or Republican candidate before him besides Biden, who allowed all these illegals here in the first place. Like I've talked about in previous episodes, Obama was the deporter-in-chief, they called him, over 4 million deportations. Bill Clinton had over 11 million deportations. Donald Trump still year to date, not even year to date, career to date, has under 2 million. So for people to call Donald Trump a racist, say he hates Hispanics, say he hates South Americans, whatever it is, no, Donald Trump hates crime and he loves the American taxpayer. He wants to make America safer for the American taxpayer, America better for the American taxpayer, and he, in general, he just wants to make America great again. America has started to go down this darker path where common sense has gone out the window, and we need to get common sense back. And that's why I love that Donald Trump picked Tom Homan for this spot. Like you can see here, Tom Homan is a no-nonsense man who just wants to put the American people first, and he doesn't want to deal with any of the woke liberal BS. It's exciting to see someone in his position who's putting the American people first the way he is. I want to move on to our next topic, and it's again another video I'll show you. First off, I want to just pray for the victims in this. There was a plane crash this morning. A plane veered off a runway in Scottsdale, Arizona. The plane actually belonged to Motley Crue lead singer Vince Neil. There was one reported death. I believe it was the pilot of one of the planes. The plane, as it veered off the runway, it hit a Gulfstream 200. Vince Neil was not on the time. I think his girlfriend was. There was 3 injuries, including his girlfriend. She suffered multiple broken ribs. And like I said, the only death was one of the pilots. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family of that pilot. It's obviously a very tragic day in America because of that. Preliminary reports are suggesting that the jet's left main landing gear failed upon touchdown. As more information comes out on this, I'm going to keep you guys updated. I know this isn't the biggest news in America, but I'm going to always try and keep you guys updated on all the things the news isn't really reporting. And I'm going to play the video right now for you guys of the plane veering off the runway as it landed down. It's definitely a hard video to watch. It's really tragic when something like that happens, where the people in the plane, it doesn't really seem to be their fault at all, and it is just faulty landing gear by the company who made the plane. So, my thoughts and prayers go out to Vince Neil and his family and any other passengers who were on the plane. I really hope they are okay, and if we do get more information on that, I'm not sure if we will, I'll definitely try and keep you guys updated like I do with everything else. And I want to get into our last topic today. I want to talk about Paulina Luna. She's a representative in our government from Florida. And I want to talk about the task force she's operating within our government now to declassify federal secrets. I'm going to play 2 videos for you guys, actually. The first video is where she introduces the task force, and the second video is where she talks about one of the main goals of it. So I'm going to pop those videos up for you guys real quick, and then we'll talk about them.
With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency that begins.
What's your priority list? Because Epstein, 9/11.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
So a few different things I want to highlight from all this. First of all, I want to highlight how excited I am. I know I've talked about this before, but how excited I am for the Epstein list to get released, the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would love to hear more about UFOs and USOs. And then also, like Donald Trump signed the executive order for JFK, RFK, and MLK. Those files are extremely important for trust within the American people. Like I said, trust with the American people and the government is at an all-time low. Our government has been continuously lying to us for decades and decades, and it's time that they are honest with us, especially in such a controversial period with the Epstein list, the Diddy list, and all these things we have currently going on in a post-COVID world. So I'm really excited that we have someone in our government who's tasked to declassify all this information. I really think we'll find a ton of different information as these JFK, MLK, and RFK files come out. And I really do think it's interesting how she says it most likely was not one shooter, that they think that everything that was said in Congress during the trials of the JFK trials, that was wrong, that it was most likely two shooters and not one, and there was definitely something faulty happened within our government to hide that fact. So I'm very excited to hear all the things they come out with. Like I said, I think it's imperative for the American people to I think it's imperative that if the government wants us to trust them, they need to give us answers to the biggest secrets that the American people have been asking for decades. And it's not even things that I don't understand the idea of, it could cause a massive problem if we release this, national secrets. You're causing massive problems by not releasing them, and you're continuously losing the trust of the American people, especially the younger generation who is looking at all this and saying, like, how did our parents just let this go by? How did our parents allow a president to be shot in the head and there to be little to no questions about who the actual shooter was, and they just took this one guy as it who then got shot in front of everyone else, and they didn't even really get to question him? So I don't know, the whole thing seems fishy to me. I don't think we should just take anything as its word that our government says. I really think that all these things we should look into, and I don't know, I'm really happy that they finally did this. This has been a long time coming, where they're going to release the Epstein list, talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, And UFOs and USOs are another big one. We've had a ton of different whistleblowers sit on the Senate and Congress floors talking about their experience with UFOs and USOs, what they've either done to them physically or mentally, or what they've seen. And it's pretty incredible some of the stories we've heard on the congressional floor from whistleblowers who have been threatened with violence, death, and all these terrible things by different people in the government if they were to release the secrets they did. I really urge people who haven't seen the Lazar film to go watch that. I think there's a ton of great information on these UFOs and USOs that we'll find out from this task force. Some of it we might already know, but to even just get that confirmation on it from our government, from the task force, would be amazing. I'm really excited for what's to come. I'm very excited for everything Donald Trump's doing right now. As more information comes out on all this, I'm definitely going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to sign off for today. This has been episode 22 of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. I hope you all have a blessed day. I'm signing off. Thank you.